Hi, everybody. I am so excited for this Mindfully Austin Vendors series. So, our very first guest on our Mindfully Austin Vendors is Anila Cardyn. She is with CMG Financial. She is an amazing lender. We've worked with her a lot, and we're excited to ask her some questions. And we have a list of questions that you're welcome to ask, about 20 questions, but we're not going to do all 20 right now. We're just going to get a few ideas and, of course, bring in our Mindfully Austin questions a little bit, because what we love about our vendors is that they also do this for a higher purpose. And we're excited to connect people that are kind of living how they speak. Does that make sense? How they are living how they speak. They're living intentionally, yeah, how they want to show up in the world. So Anila is just a wonderful person. She's in our community. She's a fellow mama. She's also an amazing lender. So we're excited. Anila, how did you get into lending? Just how did that happen?
Right off the bat. It was actually very, very, very random. I was talking to, I was exploring different things and what I really like, and marrying my customer service background with my education in finances and business. And I was talking to someone, they're like, you should get into lending. And I was just like, that's interesting. So I kind of explored it and I loved it. I loved every aspect of it. It married both sides, which I've been really, you know, when I worked in business, I didn't do a whole lot of customer service, and I worked in customer service. I didn't do a whole lot of business. So this perfectly aligns them both, and never looked back.
That's great. What, this is kind of a loaded question, but what is your big why? Like, what makes you show up for your clients every day? I mean, and it could just be because I want to help support my family, but what
Well,
is it that
definitely,
makes you show
right?
up
Like
for your
that
clients?
drives, I think all working parents is supporting your family. But my son actually asked me that years and years and years ago. He's 14 now, but back maybe when he was about 5 or 6, he was like, why are you doing this? Because it's a lot of work, like when sees me work, I'm working, and he was just like, why do you do this? And I was like, well, it's important to me to provide my family with a home, someplace where you put your head down, someplace I can tuck you in, where I feel safe with you, and we make memories, and we have holidays, we have family, and we have friends. And I was like, that just is a huge part of our everyday life, is to be a family and have a home. So it's very important for me to provide that for my clients. So this is, if not the biggest purchase, one of the biggest purchases that people will make. And so it's a big investment. There's a lot of questions, there's a lot of guidance. And I don't mind any of that because I know it's such a heavy, big purchase. So we have people who are able to navigate it themselves and know and have done this before and just need me for the business aspect. But then I have clients who need to me to walk them through the process so that they're able to do that. But either way you do it, it's an important transaction, and it means something, for them and their future, whether it's an investment or their primary home. It's an investment for their future. So that means a lot to me, and I don't take that lightly. And I think about it for each client that we do, what their purpose is, what they're trying to achieve, and how we can best help them. And then we go from there.
Awesome. I love that. Thanks, Anila. Now, what? So when we're filming this, and it'll say this on YouTube, as we're filming this, the market has shifted. We went from crazy COVID market, everybody throwing offers, full appraisal waivers, giving away firstborn children, paying all the closing costs, to interest rates rising and buyers freaking out and putting the brakes on everything. So what is a product that CMG Financial has right now that makes you most excited to share with buyers so that they can feel more empowered and less afraid of buying a house in this market?
So the thing that I think is hard for people to understand is there's not a magic product, right? Like there's not something in this time that's going to solve the interest rate crisis. However, and I say crisis in a way that rates have come down lately. They'll fluctuate, they'll come up and down. But it is, you're right, much, much higher than what we're used to. It was used to curb the inflation that was happening because it was getting out of control. People couldn't afford homes. So there are several products, just like there were before. It just which one is right for which client, right? However, CMG does address the fact that this is an unusual climate and that our buyers are very weary, and as they should be. Like interest rates in the sevens, what they were, and now they're coming down into the sixes and fives. But it's heavy. That's a lot to take on. And people who could afford a house a year or two ago cannot because of the interest rate sometimes. So we're doing what's called a rate rebound refinance. A lot of alliteration there, but it's good for 5 years. And if the rates come down, you get a refinance with no lender fees, no new appraisal, and will even pay some third-party costs. So what could cost you $6,000 to $8,000. Also, something that's super important is your escrow will roll over. So you don't have to restart, repay your escrow, which is huge sometimes depending on what time of year you refinance. So you don't have to do that. And we acknowledge that everybody is, timid and hurting and anxious. So in order to avoid that, we offer this for 5 years after you purchase. And they extended it because interest rates are not coming down as quickly as initially forecasted. So it was expiring in June. They pushed it out to September, and now it's pushed out to December. So as long as you close with me before December, then you can get that 5-year rate rebound, and then
That's
you can,
great.
Yeah.
I love that. I've shared that with a couple people. I'm like, well, there's a new product out.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
This is a question that comes up for people sometimes. So I would love to ask you, when you take on a client, do you stick with them throughout the process, or like when it goes to the loan processor or the underwriter, are you still in communication with that underwriter and work closely with the client all the way through the process?
Yes. So this is something I think that does set some loan officers apart. I have a dedicated processor, I have a dedicated underwriter, and I also have a dedicated closer. Now, depending on the product, the underwriter may change because they have specialties. However, my processor never changes. Now, barring things like, emergencies or things that anybody has to deal with. But I have one processor that I deal with every day for all of my files. We contact each other daily on every file. We touch base, and they're always accessible. So if I have a question, it's not sometimes when you work with a bank, it's a call center. So they'll call in and speak to a processor about a loan. I speak to my processor. I speak to my underwriter. I speak to my closer. And so it's great to have that relationship with them I've been working with them for years. And so it's nice to be able to know how they communicate and how I communicate and how things are going to get done. It's very predictable.
Awesome. And do you all handle all types of loans, like
Yeah, we
first-time
do
home?
VA, FHA, USDA, and jumbo, all the loans. And we even do some that are what's considered non-conforming, so non-QM loans, that we also have access to other vendors that are able to do those loans. So even if it's something that we don't do in-house, we can find a product for, foreign nationals or, land loans or something like that.
Oh, wonderful. That's so good to know. So just piggyback or toggling back to Mindfully Austin type questions, are you originally from Austin?
So I'm a native Texan, but I am not native to Austin. So I grew up in East Texas, and we moved away for a little bit. I was gone when I was super little, but I've been back since I was about 8. And went to school here. I went to college here. I met my husband here, or in Texas.
Here in Texas or in Austin?
Yeah, in Texas. No, I grew up in Jacksonville, Texas. I went to school at Sam Houston State, where we met. And then we moved to San Antonio, got married, and then we were in Virginia for a few years. But in all honesty, we missed it so much, we decided to come back. So we came back to Texas, and Joe started building here, never looked back. And, we had both of our boys here and we just absolutely love it. The only thing that Austin presents some kind of a little blip on my radar is these dang allergies that seem to pop up everywhere. But other than that, it's darn near perfect,
Yeah.
So absolutely love it. And Joe is actually, he's a native Lake Travis graduate. So he graduated from here.
So cool.
And yeah, it's becoming less and less common, right?
But what year did he graduate?
1995.
Hey, that would have been my year,
Yeah.
but I was a youngster. Okay, what's one thing that you hope will make you stand out?
I think the thing that really helps me with clients, whether they're buying a really high-end home or it's their first home or an investment home, is that I really, I've bought homes, right? All of us have bought homes, or a lot of us have bought homes. And I remember all the pain stories from from the first time I bought a home. And I was not a lender at the time, but my lender, we were supposed to be going to closing the following week. And I asked him, like, how's it going? Like, are we ready to close? I haven't heard anything. And he's like, oh, I haven't submitted it to underwriting yet. And I just froze. I mean, that's my reaction. I was just like, and so I was like, do we need to go to another bank? Are you okay? And he's like, oh, I mean, you can take it somewhere else. That's fine. And I was just like,
oh, wow.
I'm so confused. And so that was my first pit in my stomach. And I was just not okay with that. And so he was a friend of my husband's. And I thought, gosh, if he's treating friends like this, what is he treating clients like, So I do put myself in that position. And then once we got our next house, we had kids, and then you're dealing with schools and you're dealing with moving and you've got littles, and there's just a lot of pieces with work and all this stuff, right? So everybody has a different story, but you all have the same result. Like, we're all working towards the same goal of getting our client in this house and making sure that they do it seamlessly and with as little pain as possible, and so I just try to remember what it felt like when I was doing it, when I was going through it, the communications I would like. So everything in my process is very predictable. There's emails that go out to when we start the loan process, when you're in processing, when we order appraisals, when we receive appraisals. We want everybody to be in the loop. Like, that's very important to me. The more information that everybody has, then the more comfortable everybody is with where we are in the process. So that part to me is important. Is communication is key. I will pick up a phone, call anybody. I will send emails. I'll answer the phone. That's another thing, is clients are like, oh, it's a weekend. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know you've got questions that aren't Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, definitely let me know. I'm here to help. Like, that's what I'm here for. So I do love to make sure that all questions are answered. So communication is super important to me when it comes to the loan process.
And I'll just say, when we were in a transaction with you, I love you attached a little explanatory videos, very easy, here's what this means. Here's what this really means. And I was like, oh, that's so great for the clients, because not everybody knows the jargon and the lingo. So I love that.
But you've been through it. So that's your unique value proposition. Like, you're a great lender, all of the things, but you have that empathy and that ability to connect with people and understand where they're coming from. And I think that's why we love working with you so much. And because you're a wonderful, very efficient worker. And I really do appreciate how many times you have called in this market. I mean, we haven't even had anybody with a loan recently, but most of my buyers have been cash. But you have really always gone out of your way, even on a weekend when we were in multiple offers, to call and speak on behalf of our clients whenever we submitted an offer and we were dealing with that multiple offer. And I think because of that teamwork, we've won a lot of deals in that highly competitive market. So super grateful about that. Anything else that you want to share before we sign off?
Well, in markets like this, it's also important, and in any market, to be honest, but sometimes it's more relevant than others, but to get the client ready to go prior, right? So you guys get a client and they're ready to go look for a house, or, it's an exciting time and everybody kind of really wants to get started, but there's some legwork to be done. So getting the application, getting the documents, getting everything squared away so that when I write that loan letter, it's as solid as it can be. And you're right, what I call the listing agent on every file that I know that the offer is going out. I'll call them and just say, hey, what questions do you have? What can I do to help you accept this offer? Because we want to put in the strongest offer possible. So if I have all the documents, I have all the income, I have everything I need, then it's a no-brainer. And it's very easy to be able to tell that agent, we're ready to go. Like, let's do this. And so they can ask all the questions and I have all the answers. So yeah, it's helpful for the client. It's helpful for the listing agent. And of course, it's helpful to get the loan process going.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, Anila. Thank you so much. We're going to share all your links and contact info below in the description. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel.
Totally. Yes. Love it.
Thanks, Anila.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.